Good afternoon and good evening to all the participants abroad. And Dr. Xavier Engineering College and the Bachelor of Information Technology is very happy to organize this webinar on robotic process automation by proud alumnus of 2005 batch 5 department, Engineer George B.Tech holder, and he is presently working as a senior robotics research engineer in Dyson, UK. And we are very happy to have him here. And he's a very dynamic person actually, and he was doing his course in Transportation College. And thank you, George, for accepting our invitation and being here for this webinar. And I'm very happy to introduce George to this for the audience of this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So let me give a short profile of the speaker today. He is George Anthony Xavier, and he has done his B.Tech in Transit Engineering College, and he is a good, what to say, he's got a good profile over throughout his software career. And to begin with, he has got a certification in Agile Software Development. He is a certified DevOps practitioner and AWS certified solution architect. And he has worked in various prominent companies, and he's worked as a technical specialist in Chennai, and he was a solution specialist in Bristol, UK, and he was a cloud migration architect in UK's largest telco, and he is a good speaker and evangelist, and most thing, and he's a very spiritual kind of a person as far I know. And he's a very result-oriented professional with 14 years of rich experience in end-to-end architect solution and software development, software analysis, and team management. And he is fascinated to innovative and automate ideas and concepts and to have a positive impact in the organization. And we wish him all a great career ahead. So let us start with the session by George Anthony on robotic process automation. And over to the speaker.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So hope you're able to see my screen. I welcome everyone for this virtual session, and it's my pleasure to connect with you all over this session, and it's a great opportunity. I thank God for this opportunity. So today I've chosen robotic process automation as a topic for this virtual session, mainly because this is something I thought very useful for the students who are coming out of college and trying to pursue a career in IT industry. Because and it is something, a skill that is easily anyone could acquire a part of their career and add a value to their CV. So that's the main reason I've chosen a robotic process automation. So let's move on to the session. Feel free to post your questions in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer. And at the end of this session, the key takeaways would be where industry is heading to. Automation is the buzzword of 2020. What is RPA? A need for automation, type of RPAs, how RPA works, opportunities for RPA in the current IT sector, and key benefits of IT process automation, and RPA impacts on people and their jobs, and RPA software tools which are widely available in the market, and towards the end, the RPA skills and the responsibility of RPA developers. So in order to pursue a career in RPA role, what you need, what industries are looking for. So this will be the overall agenda for the session and the key takeaway for the participants. Let's move on. So where industries heading to? When we say robots, many people think of something with the metal arms and laser eyes. No, it's not really. In many aspects, ROFOs that we refer here rather physical ones, but the virtual ones, which are some kind of a range of software application that work on any computers. They are specialized branch of artificial intelligence. We call RPA as part of an artificial intelligence. So before going into IT process automation, I thought we'll have a small overview of the manufacturing industry. So let's take the manufacturing industry 10 to 15 years back. Most of the industries were employing manual workforce for producing a product. So I've chosen the matchbox industry, which is widely in Sivagasi and Tirunelveli areas. So I would like to show a demo of a matchbox industry.
George, the screen has to be shared.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Is this
Have an option
so?
down, present now.
Yeah, correct, ma'am. Is it clear now? Are you able to see my screen? Are you able to see my screen, ma'am?
No, ma. No, I couldn't. Just click press present now.
Yeah, give me a minute. So, at present, no, yeah, my entire screen I'm presenting.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So, sorry for the interruption. So, before moving into IT process automation, let's take an overview of manual uh, manufacturing industry 10, 15 years back, how these manufacturing industries are working. So, let's show you a small video how matchbox industry producing.
I couldn't hear the audio, ma.
Uh, yeah, I mean, this is mainly a video of showing how a manufacturing department, matchbox industries producing matchboxes, involving how many resources they are employing, a workforce, manual workforce in order to produce. Here, everything is manual, like starting from producing the sticks and then having that gum in it, and then towards the end, packing all. It's employing everything a manual. So just think of a peak period where your demand is high. How many resources you need to manage or cope up with your production. So that's one of the challenge these manufacturing industries had 10, 15 years back. So next video I'll show you how they overcome this by the automated way of machines. So in this video, it's showing how, yeah, how this entire manufacturing of matchbox has been automated by a machine. So I would say when I say fully automated, there is a small amount of human workforce still there for monitoring and everything. Yeah. There is an inspection by the human workforce. Yeah. So though we do everything automated by the machine, we have a humans for inspection. So this is a conveyor belt which carries all these matchsticks. Yeah, these are done automatically by the machine itself. And not just this, the entire until the packing and delivering, it's all automated. So now you have seen a video where how the matchbox or manufacturing industry, which produces matchbox, from an automated way of working into a more into machine-oriented automated way. So from manual workforce to an automated work way, result in you are able to manage with your production. You are reducing your production cost, and in case of a resource challenges during the peak period, and you're still able to manage with your demand. So that's the advantage of moving into automation. So that's in the manufacturing industry 10, 15 years back. Now our main focus of the session would be IT process automation. So in IT, we have two set of category of companies. We call them product companies and service companies. So product companies are those like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM. So these are creating products or come up with the software products for users. So for the product companies, the main focus in order to survive in the market, they need to adopt RPA, robotic process automation in their product, and artificial intelligence in the future. So recent Microsoft 365 is a one best example how AI features are added into their product. So that's the pressure on the product companies. Now coming back to service companies are the ones like Cognizant, Infosys, Accenture. These are serve customers. So they serve customers, kind of develop software for customer specific to their application, specific to their business needs, and they also provide testing service. They provide support of their application and database. So the service companies are under pressure in order to develop or automate their business process using RPA in order to reduce cost for the customers. But there is a constant pressure or push from the customer for implementing RPA in these companies. So the stats by Gartner says that by 2025, 5 to 7 trillion impact on global economy by the RPA, and then it will affect more than 230 million knowledge workers. So when I say it affects, it's not going to take out all the jobs. And it all predicts that most of the IT organizations by 2024 will adapt to RPA and will have 30%, up to 30% of their cost reduction, mainly the operational cost cut down. Moving on to the next one, we are going to cover in this first portion like what is RPA, why RPA is needed, type of RPA, and how RPA works, and RPA workflow. So moving on to robotic process automation. So let me split this acronym into three: robotic, process, and automation. What is robotic? Robotic is an entity which the capability to mimic human actions. So an entity which could be programmed by software and that can replace a human action or human intervention. So we call this robotic process or robotics further in our session as bots or robots, or the new term is digital labor. We call them as digital labor. So though they are virtual, we are calling them as labor here because they are digital labor, automating most of the human workforce. And then process is nothing but a sequence of steps which leads to a meaningful activity. So you follow a set of steps in order to get a desired output. So process is a collection of steps which leads to meaningful activities. Then automation When a task happens automatically without any human intervention, we call that as an automation. So put it together, RPA refers a process of automating set of tasks or process with the help of robotic software in order to reduce human interaction. I say reduce, it's not completely eradicate because we still need a small amount of human intervention in order for RPA to work effectively. That's the reason I'm mentioning is to reduce human interaction. So, what are all the manual tasks in these IT sector that could be automated by RPA? So, what are the business process which could be automated? Application configuration and data entry jobs, customer service request handling, and validation of client queries and client files, creation of test data for your test suite, and data loading or data uploads, and report generation, moreover manual health check of our application. So these are some of the a subset of the tasks which I've highlighted could be automated by RPA. So the robots which we are going to further discuss in this session shall use both a manually defined rules in order to perform, or it can have the capability to adopt the latest machine learning and natural language processing in order to perform those set of activities. So that's all about the robotic process automation. What is robotic process automation? Moving on to why RPA is needed. So for anything to adapt, we need to understand clearly what is the need for that. So majority of the IT workforce were driven manually, like testing and in terms of data entry, health check. And many of these business processes in IT were manually driven. So IT teams are not agile to meet customer demands. When there is a customer demand to cut down the cost and to have low number of resources, these IT teams were having a challenge when they are having the manual workforce doing everything. So companies struggle to maintain multiple systems, so creating redundancy, and manual tasks continue to remain inefficient because there is always a chance of errors and inaccurate compared to automated processes. Then advanced human skills are unused because we are merely asking these humans to do some kind of data entry job, whereas they could do, spend their time and knowledge in terms of creating something which machines could not do. So these are all some of the necessities these companies are looking into or moving into adopting RPA. So in order to explain this more, I thought I'll take two or three scenarios. So first, let me take a scenario one, a credit card fraud detection system. So a credit card fraud detection system, whether it is manually validated or is it by the system, there must be a set of rules by which a transaction could be classified as fraud or a genuine transaction. One point is last location of access, where the last location of the access where the card was used. That's the one. If a user used his card in India and in 30 minutes, there is no way he could use his card, he could swipe his card from United Kingdom. That's not possible. So let's take that as a one check, last location of access of the card. The second point is usual pattern of transaction amount. So on a month-on-month basis, what is the amount the user is spending on that card? Then the third point would be number of times a wrong pin is entered for that card information. So I just take these three rules. So let's go back to 10, 15 years back. A credit card company was employing hundreds of employees based on these rules to go through each and every transaction. So the result is you need a huge workforce when your customer base is increasing, and it's not always faster and it's not accurate. There is a chance of errors, and you're going to spend much on investing in people. But let's take the recent systems, almost 5, 6 years back or 3 years back, majority of the banks were employing RPA based system in order to detect fraudulent transaction. The result is quicker now, and almost I would call, when you swipe in your card in Big Bazaar for a huge amount, you get a call from your credit card company asking to confirm what was the last transaction amount and where it was used. As soon as you say the correct details, and they hang up the phone, and the transaction is allowed. If there is a wrong data, and I mean, if they say this is not something that you swiped your card, and that will help these companies to, or banks to, protect your credit and protect your card. So merely the process, entire process is automated. I mean, I would say 95 percentage accuracy. I still say 95 percentage because there are cases where these softwares, robotic process, could not decide whether this transaction is a fraudulent or anything, because it doesn't fall under the previously defined rules. So in that case, it involved the humans to validate and then take further actions. So those 5% we call the technical term anomalies, because that could not be programmed or something, a new case that arrives. So now these systems, the credit card fraud detection systems, are having this periodic revisit of their predefined rules such a way that they could add these new conditions into the existing rules in order for their system to work more independent of human interaction. So that's a scenario one, and then moving on to scenario two. So here it is a simple one. I have a daily publishing. I mean, my company is a publishing company where I'm posting an article across social media, TV, and many other online reading channels. So if I am using manual workforce, I need to have a content writer who creates this content, and then content reviewer, and then these two, once the content is ready, they put it in a common location. Then there are people who read this and then upload in respective channels. The result is you always depend on human, and there is always chance for errors now. But now, if I'm employing a digital labor, a robotic process for this entire thing, all I have to have is a content writer and content reviewer who would prepare this content and place it in a common location. And the remainder of the process will be automated, because the RPA would pick up this content from the desired location and will publish in all the target channels, whether it is social media or TV programs or any other online reading platforms. So the result is there will not be any mistakes or there will not be any errors. And the recent RPAs have the capability to test post the deployment. So once you publish the channel, it has the capability to check whether this content is properly viewable by the user. So that capability has got the RPA's more good to go technology in the future. And moving on to scenario three, it's merely a data entry job. So 6 years back, this is the widely available positions in the companies. Many companies were reading various information source from and then extracting the data, and then they were uploading into a structural form of database or anything else. And this data then later used for a marketing purpose, machine learning purpose, and many other good purpose. So if you take the sequence of activities these engineers were doing is collect, or not engineers, I would say these individuals were doing is collecting the information source from various channels and extracting that specific data one at a time, and then uploading into an Excel sheet, and then these Excel sheets will be loaded into the database, and then those database contents were uploaded or taken for further processing. So you could clearly automate this use case 100%. You don't need manual intervention, because RPA can read from different sources, can extract the specific data and upload it into the database. You don't need any human interactions here in this scenario. In the previous scenarios where the human interaction was necessary, but here it's not at all necessary. This is a scenario where it could be completely automated. And moving on to my next scenario, an IT support. So assume I'm managing an IT team of 30 members, because I'm expecting the application that we support, approximately 300 tickets per day will be the inflow. So 30 members team, each will be resolving minimum of 10 tickets a day. So I always have to have these 3 members 24/7, supporting my applications, also answering all or resolving all the tickets raised for my applications. So the result is you are having the human interactions here, 30 plus resources. What if they all going on a holiday? So I need to have a backup resource. So it's all overall headache for increasing my operational cost. So instead, why don't I have RPA for optimizing this, having reduced number of team, and another problem with this scenario is these tickets are resolved manually. That means each ticket has got its own timeline. So I cannot expect an individual to resolve a ticket in 30 minutes, or in, even if it is a repeated incident, we cannot expect them to resolve in a shorter span of time, because they are humans. They need to traverse across multiple systems in order to get the results and then resolve the ticket. But what if I'm using or employing a digital labor or robot or a bot for this use case? I can reduce this manual workforce to a shorter portion, because all I have to do is collect all the tickets on a monthly basis, arrive at the repeated patterns, what these engineers are doing in order to resolve the tickets. Maybe they go to 2, 3 systems, validate some results, and make sure, yeah, things are fine, and then resolve the tickets. So I can do entire thing, these set of steps, into an RPA based platform which would go across multiple systems. It can go to my database, check customer data. Yes, they have the proper data, and it can go to my application or a middleware system and make some changes for that user, the settings, data correction, and then finally it can update the incident. So the result is reduced number of team size, my operational cost is cut down, and moreover, customers are getting the benefit because the tickets are closed in a faster pace. They don't need to wait for 3 hours, 4 hours. As soon as the ticket is raised and assigned, my RPA will pick up and do all this background process and then close the ticket. So that's how it is effective for most of the service companies. And the scenario 5, I thought maybe every one of you would have logged in any online retail platform, Amazon, Flipkart, or any online big bazaar platforms, and some of the banks as well, I would say. So you would see a pop-in saying that a chatbot for answering customer queries, saying, "How can I help you?" Do you think there are humans behind these chatbots to answer your queries? No. These are all predefined RPAs, which has got the set of rules to answer you. And most of these chatbots have the capability, machine learning capability, in order for you to understand if there is a query that you're coming up which is not present in the predefined rule. It will try to understand similar scenarios or similar circumstances where humans answered to that question and try to suggest that to the user. So the result is you don't need to have huge number of human workforce for clarifying or answering such a customer queries. So these are the 5 scenarios which I've taken mainly to give you the background of why we need RPA in the IT sector. Moving on to, we have 2 types of RPA. We have the process automation and cognitive automation. Process automation is something automating the standard set of steps to avoid manual intervention. So in our 5 scenarios, we know that the ticketing flow, where in order to resolve a ticket, the engineer has to do 5 steps. So you could clearly define this business process into the number of steps. So once you have that number of steps, you can come up with the RPA which would entirely automate this. So those kind of RPA is called as process automation. And then second category is cognitive automation. These are more complex RPAs which involves responding to natural languages like human interactions. So let's take an example of Amazon Alexa, IBM Watson, and Apple Siri. So these are some of the applications or RPA-based systems. They learn human action, they understand human actions and respond based on how a question is asked, based on the situation, based on the location, and based on the condition where the question is raised. So if a user is asking Alexa, what is the weather today? It checks, because the user is in Chennai, so it's going to say the weather of the Chennai. It's not going to ask back for which location you want the weather. So the Alexa is going to give you the weather based on the location you are. So it's avoiding the repetitive questions to the user. It's not annoying the user. Instead, it put you in a surprise how effective those RPAs answering your queries. So now moving on to the next one, type of RPA. I mean, that's we covered now. How RPA works. So most of these RPAs, like I said, the robotic process automation is resolve around any business case. So we have seen 5 scenarios. So in any scenario, we kind of put them into a flow. Flow is nothing but a sequence of steps. So there will be a start for the so all the RPAs are designed as workflows. We call them as workflows. So the workflows will have a starting point, an ending point, and may have multiple condition checks. So in this workflow, it's like a system in RPA that will read customer emails from a mailbox, a configurable mailbox, and will read the content from the customer, and it will decide whether the data can be something readable, and it will try to upload the data. And if the content of the email is something in escalation from the user, and it's going to involve a human, not trying to answer by itself. So merely you have a starting step, which is nothing but reading the email from the configurable email box. So the RPA we designed would read a common email box for the new emails. As soon as a new email, that's a triggering point here. And our flow would be kicked off, and it will open the content of the email. And if there is any attachment which contains data, it will read out the data, and then it would upload the data in one of the ERP platform. And then it would finally escalate. If the email is an escalation email, assume that the user has sent an email with an escalation flag or escalation. I mean, it tried to read the content. If there is a word escalation or anything based on a predefined condition, it's pass the control over to human to handle that. So we don't want to further nag the user, provide a wrong response or whatever it is. The RPA try to handle the rest of the cases. But if there is an escalation, we have designed this RPA such a way it would pass it to humans to handle. So this is how an RPA works. So for an RPA to work effectively, you need to have the business process to be properly defined as the individual steps, and those steps then converted into a workflow. Moving on to RPA workflows. So any RPA workflow will have process developers, business users, robots, and robot controllers. Let's see what each and every component is. First, process developers. So these are all the set of instructions and set of steps. So you are defining step 1, step 2, step 3 until step n, and for each step you are having the set of rules for that step to work properly. And what you do is you first come up with the clearly defined steps, and then you have the rules for each of the steps, and then you publish this content into a controller. We call that as a robotic controller. The robotic controller is responsible for the entire life cycle of these bots or robots, a software robots. So what the robotic controller does is, whenever a new instruction or new steps added in the workflow, the controller makes sure the existing robots are properly recycled, stopped, and then the new instance of the content is being updated in the robots for them to work effectively. So the robot controller creates a new robots, new bots, and assign the jobs and monitor the activities. And if there is unused bots, it's gonna remove them in order to save your computing resources. And then the third thing is the actual robots. We call that as a set of predefined steps, which actually performs. Like I say in the previous slide, the bots is nothing but a software program that when kicked off, it will execute the sequence of steps in order to provide the desired outputs. So, and then towards the end, the human part, we call them as a business users. So they are responsible for handling the anomalies which could not be captured in your RPA. So a good RPA where you need a reduced number of business users. I would say, if your RPA percentage where the metric shows that the automation is 99.9 percentage. That I would say is a remarkable thing, because you are having a 0.1 percentage of manual interaction for your RPA to work effectively. So why we have controllers and bots concept here? Because when you have a peak period and you need to have more of the bots in order to processing your inputs, so the robot controllers can be configured easily to start as many robots as want in order to process or in order to handle that workload. So having the this kind of architecture will allow you to start as many as robots based on your hardware capability. And again, robotic controllers are very important, because when you have, because we know that these virtual labors or digital labors going to work like they are software programs. They're going to run in any hardware. So hardware is the critical part for your workflow to run effectively. So how do you manage resilience in your hardware? So assume that your data center goes off, and having the features of Amazon and all the new cloud platform, if your RPA programs are deployed on the cloud, you can be rest assured that your RPA can run without any disruption. Because even if the data center where your applications are hosted, you're going to fail over to the next data center, and your RPA is going to continue to run without any disruption. So that's I have for the RPA workflow. And moving on to the prerequisite for a good robot, a good RPA. So we know now RPAs are designed like workflow. So before moving to the benefit section, I thought I will add some more additional point. I was out for the, if you design a good RPA, some prerequisite or the important points which you need to have it in mind. Point number one, collect all the input data in a single location. So classify your input data that you're going to feed to your RPA and place them in a common location. Then extract the data. The data may be in an unstructured way. The data may be from a website you collect, or from a file, from a PDF, or whatever the input source may be. Try to convert that data into a structural way which could be retrieved easily by the RPAs. So that would reduce a lot of rework when you design the RPA. Now, the point number three, arrive at the optimized business process steps. So choose the optimized steps for your RPA. You may have n number of steps for your RPA, but reducing these steps would result in faster completion of your RPA, and it will be more effective as well. You're going to use less computing resource. And point number four, capture all the possible conditions and rules for a bots. This is where you need to spend most of your time. Come up with the clearly defined rules for your bots. And then point number five, like I said, there is a 5% or less than that. There is an anomaly part which you could not program, or which you could not put it into a set of rules. So try to identify those anomalies and capture it. And where possible, if your RPA demands, add scope for self-learning, machine learning, and natural language processing. Then the next point is plan scalability for unpredictable traffic. So if you expect your RPA to work fine for hundreds of input files, assume that for data entry, on a given day, if there is 1,000 files, your RPA should not break or should not create a backlog. So design such a way that your RPA is capable of managing unpredictable traffic. And then the another most important point is come up with a good test suite for RPA validation. Majority of the companies are using test-driven development approach. We call that as a TDD, because you come up with your test suite before you come up with your code. So as soon as you develop your code, you'll be able to test using the test suite you created. This gives the developers a fair idea about what need to be captured in the test suite before they develop something. Because if you develop and then create a test suite, most of the time you may miss the important race conditions as well. So the best approach to employ is TDD, test-driven development. And the final part is, like any other application, these are all the software application, these RPAs. They must have a periodic maintenance and ongoing support. There must be a small percentage of human interactions where you need to periodically assess how your RPA works based on a reports. You can have an automated reports in most of these RPA development software, which provides the reports or features as well. You employ that, see how far your RPA performs and what level of manual interactions we need, and try to optimize this flow and try to evolve such that you reduce the manual interaction and automate as much as possible. Now let's see the key benefits of IT process automation. So of course, it reduces burden on IT. So you can use your IT engineers for more knowledgeable tasks and rather doing some repeated boring tasks. And then as this is done by machines or the software, and it's accurate, there is a less errors and high uniformity and high precision across each run, and it is consistent because repeated tasks are performed in the same manner each time. So the particular software programs, even in a 100th run or in thousands run, it's going to run in the same way, and it's reliable. Bots can work 24/7 effectively, whereas humans can't. We need rest and compliance. So it doesn't need you don't need to validate each time the software program runs. You know that your test suite covers all the race conditions, so you can be rest assured your bot's gonna perform effectively, and the compliance gonna be 100% here. And the most important benefit is cost cutting. So you're going to spend one-time development cost for developing your IT process, business process into an RPA-based automation, and then on you're going to reduce the manual workforce, which will result in reduction of manual workforce down the line. And you may have to spend a minimum portion of manual workforce for your maintenance of RPA softwares and RPA processes, but compared to the manual workforce, it's going to be very, very minimum, and it's always going to reap you benefits. And then high productivity. Like I said, on the peak demand time, you don't recruit people. Instead, you just increase the number of bots in your configuration, which will handle the workload. And then it is highly scalable. Like I said, when there is an outage in one data center, and it's going to scale in the next data center, quickly pick up the work. And whereas if there is a outage in one of the work location, you need to depart all your human workforce to another center in order for it to work, and it's always involving in high cost. So these are some of the benefits I would think of by employing this RPA in your IT process automation. So in the next section, we will discuss in detail about the opportunities for RPA and RPA challenges, RPA impact on people and job, RPA software tools, and towards the end, I'll be covering skills required as an engineers, as a students, in order to pursue a career in the software industry, mainly in the RPA sector. So let's move on. So opportunities. So we now know, I spend most of the time in the scenarios. I've explained the importance of why we need RPA. Now let's go to each and every IT sector. So human resource, they merely do the recruitment process. So now sending the email and collecting the profile. So you can employ an RPA for collecting profiles from the career sites and many social, LinkedIn and many. So you can employ the RPA instead of manually people going into LinkedIn or any other IT career websites. You can employ RPA, which would go into these of the social media sites and the LinkedIn and other sites, and try to get the profile that they need. So part of the recruitment process can be automated. So that's a business process I could think of from the human resource department. And again, when the when the in the recruitment process, when the candidate has been chosen, we have the process called hire right, where you are going to validate their profile. So you can employ an RPA which would do this profile validation, kind of validating from set of defined sites about their criminal records and many other things. So those are the business process from the human resource department could be automated through RPA. Now moving to finance and accounting. So of course, payroll processing, majority of the organizations are using RPA here, and their payroll processing software is automated completely. So sending these pay slips to the users and differences to the users, and all these email communications and everything is being completely automated. Then banking, like I said, mortgage lending, compliance reporting, customer service, answering customer queries, all these could be automated in the banking sector. And then tax and legal, where tax calculations and refund processing, those are the business process I could think of could be automated using RPA. Then healthcare, extracting patients data and providing reports to the doctors based on patients health record available. So you can't expect a human to go through and read last 5 or 6 reports in the last 5 years further. Instead, if you produce a report to the doctor in a such a way that in a readable way, where RPA can go through this 5 years of data for the patient and can produce what all treatment he had, what he was undergoing, and all this. So optimizing patient data is one of the business use case. And then claim processing. So insurance claim processing can be automated. Rather manuals collecting these bills and submitting to the insurance company, you can have RPAs doing it. And you can have a very less human force for handling the escalations with that. And which is of course free of errors and accurate and fast paced, and it's going to happen in a quicker way. And then IT or data management. So I specifically explained the IT service now platform and resolving tickets. Now I would like to show you, because assume that a company like an Amazon, or maybe not an Amazon because they have cloud. Assume that a company like Cognizant, maybe they have got thousands of servers and deploy across various data centers. So they will have network engineers and IT engineers there, platform engineers, who are responsible for server patching. So think of a scenario where for 1,000 servers, if you wanted to roll out a particular patching, how many days it would require if you use manual workforce. So what are all the steps involved here? So the engineer or the platform engineer log into the server, checks the latest OS there, and what is the patch available, and check the new patch, and then check the prerequisite for the patch, and then apply the patch. I mean, stop all the application, apply the patch, and then start all the applications. So merely these set of activities the platform engineer performs in a server patching for a large organization. So if we employ the human workforce, it's going to take days, number of days in order to apply a single patch. So it's not going to be effective as well. Now we have a lot of RPAs, and which employs Ansible open source platform, which could log into these servers and completely take out the applications, diverting the load to the rest of the servers, and then check the patches and apply the patches and test whether the patch is successful, and then start the applications and then send a notification to the users about the patching. So it's completely automated here. So the result is you are going to, instead of days, you are going to take hours for this patching. And then operations, which we covered in the scenario slide, where we are employing engineers for providing application support or database support. So we can have RPAs here, which would resolve these tickets and respond back to the users. And then aftermarket and product support, where like banking and majority of the retail sites, you have chatbots, which are the RPA process which provides. And then engineering and product development, majority of them, we have many business process to automate there. And customer care support. And I recall maybe 10 years back, after out of my work, I was part of this voice recognition platform, where I was defining IVR, interactive voice response system. I was designing interactive during early start of my career. I was working on an IVR software development, where I was developing a software to answer customer queries. When you call up Airtel, and you're presented with various options. And then once you choose that option, and then you're towards the end, if your queries are unanswered, you're gonna forward that call to the agents. So that is how it is. I remember in the early stage we had many difficulties, and it was sometimes annoying to the users, and they desperately wants to talk to the manual agents, don't want to listen to the system. Now the features of Alexa and Watson, IBM Siri have seen that they are responding with quite useful than the human agents. So that is how the RPAs evolved over the line. And the BPO industry, this industry, back in 10 years back, it was a widely available job opportunity for many of the people. So here again, you answer customer queries from various locations with a set of rules even. Now this industry could be completely automated by RPA. So your RPAs can read out various questions, and you can have very less number of people to respond if your RPA process fails. And those are the opportunities which I could think of, and where our RPA could be applicable to. And there may be many business process which you could come across in your career, which you could try to automate. And RPA challenge. So when we talk about challenge, so when we employ a human or a software-based workforce, you always have many challenges, because these robots or softwares can go crazy. If the business process that you define, the rules that you have mentioned, is not covering a race condition, your program gonna fail, and it is gonna result in defective and inefficient. And it may involve, it may cause huge number of manual work as well. So a good point here is you make sure your test suite covers all the anomalies and all the race conditions for these software robots. So if your test suite is 100% and proper, you're going to hit that anomaly hard, and you will have a reduced number of outages, and you can be rest assured that your bots can perform in all the situations well. And then anomalies, like we discussed, not all the scenarios could be programmed. So we need minimum human interactions there in many of the cases. And the next challenge I could think of is employee resistance. In this IT sector, when someone have the fear that these software programs or RPA would take my job out, so there is an employee resistance from the people in order to implement in their day-to-day job. So that's something in the next slide I will cover it up. And then governance become headache. So instead, see, if you think that you come up with multiple RPAs for multiple business process, and they are not having a common standard or a governance, so result in you will end up having hundreds of RPAs running or doing a different purpose, and they will be redundant. So it's always to have a good standard governance practice for your RPA, for your organization. That will help you to avoid redundancy. And then next one is infrastructure issue. Like I said, these are software program which needs a high-end configuration. I would say, highly available hardware for this software to run. So adapting the latest cloud features would be a benefit here, because you don't need to worry, because even if there is an outage, your RPA going to run in the failback and run in the resilient side. So the last one I could think is inability to automate end-to-end process. There are legacy software still being used in many of the industries and many of the clients. So those legacy platforms will not provide you the options to automate easily. So of course, in IT there is always changes. So you come up with the new tools, you automate things, but there are areas where set of old legacy platforms still in operational. So those are the challenges for the RPA. And moving on to the next one, RPA impacts on people. So when I was preparing for this session, the majority of the people covered, or majority of the portion discussed or questions discussed, is RPA impact on people. People's worry about whether RPA would take out many jobs. So in now IT sector, we have many new designations like data scientist, machine learning specialist, and many DevOps engineer. These roles were not there 15 years back, or we were having developers, testers, and then support engineer. Those are some of the roles. But now we have DevOps, we have system engineer, we have machine learning expert, and you have and many roles available now. So similar way down the line, 5 to 10 years, but there may be new roles popping. What I'm trying to present here is when these repeated tasks taken over by the RPAs or these robots, the humans will have more good opportunity. If they have the right mindset to take up the new opportunity, they will be placed somewhere in a good opportunity. I mean, in order to serve better. So I could think of scope for artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithm designs, and we need human interventions for enhancing RPA process, of course, because RPA needs a maintenance. So you need human intervention there in order for your RPA to constantly evolve and reduce the anomalies. And then again, like I said, the robots or the software needs regular servicing and patching. So you need manual intervention there as well. So the new mantra in IT is human plus digital workers. We call them as hyper productive workforce or an intelligent workforce. So this is the future where uh, the set of steps done by digital workers or robots and remaining done by human will form a intelligent workforce for handling any scenario, would result in cost benefit, quicker to market, and many other way. And recent RPAs are using artificial intelligence in many ways, like machine learning and all. So, and moving on to the next one, RPA tools used in industries. So I have captured 3 of the widely used tools available in the market: UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere. So these tools are chosen for each business case based on the condition, like of course based on the license cost and ability to interact with multiple system, the software interactions, and then ability to make a decision and quick time to market, like the development time frame. So based on various conditions, one of these tools may be used for our robotic process automation. So among the 3, I personally prefer UiPath because that provides a community version for the software engineers for self-learning purpose. So Blue Prism and Automation Anywhere is mainly for companies, and they mainly doesn't provide any free license for your learning purpose, but UiPath provides. But if you come up with a business automation in UiPath, and you need to have a actual license if you wanted to put it in a organization or anything. So let's see more of UiPath in the further session, and I would encourage you to install UiPath and have work on it. That will be more beneficial. So these are the this is the GUI interface for UiPath, and like I said, these are workflows. You see a workflow, a chart kind of things where you have a start and stop steps, and 4 important concepts of UiPath. Because due to time constraint, I couldn't be able to cover the entire UiPath here, but it is easy to learn. There is a self-learning videos available in YouTube. You can easily learn and adapt. And the main features of UiPath is record, screen scrapping, web scrapping, and user events. So record is nothing but when you press the record, it's similar to recording in any of the online video platforms. So you just record it, and then the UiPath is going to follow all the actions taken by the user. What are all the web page the user opens, what button they click, what data they select, and if they send any emails, or all these informations in a sequence is captured by UiPath automatically, and then a flow is created or a flow is being saved. So next time when you replay this recorded thing, it's going to do the same step again and again. So it's going to open the same Excel sheet, collect the same data, and then put it in the DB and then send an email. So this is how, for a business process where you think recording is suitable for, you can always go for it. And it is easy as well. You don't need to know exactly what all required in order to come up with the flowchart, because UiPath provides that capability to follow your action and create the flowchart for you. And the next one is screen scrapping. So screen scrapping is nothing but it's mainly for a desktop application. So in my desktop, if I do screen scrapping, it will gonna capture the content from each of the applications there and store them as a data. So assume that I'm running a SAP application in my machine. So what it does is UiPath screen scrap feature will allow me to get the data from the specific position in that desktop application screen and store it in a structural way. And web scraping is similar to screen scraping, but it is mainly for the browser and other applications. So it provides a features for you to go open a specific website and get a specific content from that particular pixel and then store it in a structural form. Then user events, like I said, those are mouse events and other user event keyboard and all that you can design to interact. So in your RPA, during the execution of an RPA, if the user is pressing a mouse button, what you need to do. If they key in some data, what you need to do. So those kind of things are covered in the user event section. And then again, all these, like I said, in a flow, you have various steps. So if you want to pass an output of step one to step two, you can do this via variables. Variables like any programming language. So it's like it can hold a content and that can be accessible across multiple steps. So in a step one, you capture the result, which you wanted to use in step two, you can use variables for that purpose. And then so I thought I'll show you a demo of, yeah, I mean, this is just a video, but it doesn't have any audio in it. Here, a UiPath I mean, a UiPath based RPA is performing an entirely a SAP invoice processing. And that will give you a fair idea about what I was talking about in this session. Yeah, this is where you start your RPA. Yeah. So the RPA asks for the email address where the confirmation will be sent. This is based on the SAP product.
George, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, like there is no. Yeah, we couldn't hear your voice now.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. I mean, just showing the video and
Okay, okay,
it reads out as well.
okay.
Yeah, correct. Here, the confirmation is sent over to the user about their invoice processing. Yeah. towards the end, this RPA sends a confirmation to the user. So just think of this entire process, if it done by humans, to enter each and every value and analyze. So it will be involving huge human workforce. But having the RPA for this would reduce our overall cost. So, and towards, I mean, we are nearing the end of the session. So the main focus, you would have seen an RPA process in the video, how it was picking up the files, I mean, input files, invoices, and then extracting the content and then uploading into the SAP system, and then finally sending a confirmation email to the user. So now, towards the end, I mainly thought this slide to give you an overview of what you need in order to pursue a career in IT for as an RPA developer or anything. So, like I said, it doesn't involve a complex coding skill at all. You need to have a knowledge on some programming languages, like a high level knowledge, but you don't need a complex coding skill in order for you to define or design your RPA. So most of these UiPath or Blue Prism or Automation Anywhere provide drag and drop feature. There is a plugin for reading email. There is a plugin for connecting to a website. There is a plugin for accessing a REST API. So there are many more. So it's all drag and drop feature. So it's all easy to learn and easy to use. And then the next important skill is learn to analyze business process and design automation around it. So like I said, you need to have a good understanding of the business process you are trying to automate. So it involves a good analysis skills. And then develop an understanding on which process could be automated. Like I said, some process could be easily done by manually if there is a check or anything. But as because we are we are learning RPA, it's not that we should develop everything in RPA. So it's like a quick decision of out of this entire steps that you collected, what could be automated, what could not be automated, where all we need a manual interaction. And then gain hands-on experience on the RPA software. Out of these three tools, I would say UiPath is a good pick for the newcomers, and you can have a good hands-on experience on these tools. And then understand how to integrate with various systems. This is the most important skill. So you will have a good understanding on your RPA software, but you need to have an understanding on how cloud works and how other systems, so that you can integrate these systems with your RPA to design a good RPA, which would avoid manual actions. And then try to implement the small business processes to gain a good in-depth knowledge on this RPA. So this would definitely give you a good, understanding of RPA and will help you to pursue a career in IT under the RPA skills. And I mean, that's all I have for today's session. I hope you enjoyed the session, and feel free to post your comments, and I've given my email address as well. And please feel free to come up with your questions. I'll be very happy. And as I said in the first, I mean, as I said initially, I feel this is an opportunity. I thank God for the opportunity given to me. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, George. Good evening.
Hello, sir. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க சார்?
Fine. Happy to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Meeting also very proud of you. And on behalf of Branch Xavier Engineering College Alumni Association and the IT department, I thank Mr. George Swami Anthony for his wonderful webinar, and thank you for your support to our college and the concern to our college. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the opportunity and all the learning I had from the college.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kumar sir, the Alumni Director for the Alumni Association of France Xavier Engineering College. And they have been doing a great job in the Alumni Association, and they have been gathering so much of alumni to all together. And thank you so much, sir, for joining us for the session. I think sir would have been a great support for your batch, 2005 batch. So thank you so much,
yes,
sir.
Yeah. The first person I met was Kumar sir. and
And
where
it's
I
the first,
today, it's all by
and
God's grace, and I had a good support from college. Thank you.
when you was
So, from the Department of Information Technology, France Xavier Engineering College and Alumni Association, we offer a great thanks to George for being with us, not only for this webinar, all throughout. He has been supporting our students, giving so many webinars earlier, not even, this is being in a webinar era, 6 months earlier, we have started this webinar. He has given 2 webinars for final year students, and you have been giving a good support for our department. We are very proud of you. Thanks, George, for all your support, and you have been supporting few second year students as well. Thanks much, and have a great career ahead,
God's
and God
grace.
bless
Thank you,
you.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. And my
Okay.
sincere thanks to the coordinators, visiting Hannah and Agnes Joshi, for having organizing this session and coordinating this session. Thank you so much, and the IT team as well for supporting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.